Hello and welcome to the episode 8 of the NE Russell podcast. I'm obviously Cale Streeter. This is Drew Castler. We are right off of the week of the Norm Manstedt. But first, before we get into everything, again, just a big thank you to our sponsor, Joe Schluckabeer in Shore, Nebraska, down there in Milford. I just want to say a big shout out to you guys. Thank you as always. Manstedt, dude, like big tournament. Both girls, guys, fantastic. 3 full days of wrestling.
Dude, okay, so before we get into it, I feel like the being that you're not coached anymore, this is your first year with any wrestle. I feel like you were like, this is kind of like the baptism weekend, man. Like you're fully in the into the streaming, into the problems that arise, into the thick of it. You got the getting the swing of things with the camera. Like, man, how does it feel, dude? Like, it had to be exciting, right?
Yeah, it was kind of after Wednesday going down there and setting up all the wiring and the Ethernet under the mats before they could roll them out and all that kind of stuff. I mean, to set up 10 mats and 10 computers and screens, and I mean, that was wild in itself, but then you get into action. And I know I didn't get over there till later on Thursday, but my gosh, like baptism is right, because it was just like nutso going
By
from mat to
fire.
mat to mat, like trying to cover, taking pictures, taking mat side video. Um, Not like a typical setting where you have a screen you can look at from any place there. You kind of have to have a perfect vantage point for the screens they have set up on the one side of the field house. So like if you didn't have your phone ready, you might miss some things. But I mean, I think overall it was freaking awesome though.
hmm Yeah, no, I mean it really was. Yeah, I guess what I have to say, for any wrestle as we continue to grow and get bigger and cover more events like Burwell, and then we're doing events during the week. Like the girls' Manstead is on Thursday, and then
Hmm.
the first day of boys is Friday. We're trying to juggle um, full-time jobs and do all this, and sometimes there's going to be a couple issues, and we had a few on Thursday. We worked those out, and I think for the most part, we made Thursday go as smooth as possible, and then Friday and Saturday really went off sort of without a hitch. A few behind the scenes, but if you were watching, not really. So,
Right.
um, yeah, overall, pretty awesome. Um, I think the Manstedt girls invite is like a truly special day and event. Like I don't know anywhere really where, especially in a high school tournament where you have 70 teams, and at one point there were over 700 wrestlers entered. I think they ended up with 650, and they
Mm.
got them done, basically all in a day at a fairly decent time considering. Broke up into two classes. I mean, you're probably going to see half your state champs at that one tournament between both classes, but also a really nice opportunity to effectively evaluate where we're at with our rankings and stuff. I'm sure Sean's probably thinking to himself, like, yeah, like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good right about now.
Yeah.
Um, what did you see? I know you got there kind of late on Thursday, but what did you see that kind of stood out to you at the girls' invite?
It's just again kind of goes back to echoing what I said about the Winnebago invite, except on a larger scale. Like the energy is just nuts. High level wrestling. Um, Kind of like I'm just impressed with the way that they carry themselves. It's much more business like you're there to compete rather than just being at an activity. Like I don't know how to adequately say that.
hmm
Um, but there's a stark difference from 3 years ago for sure on
Yeah.
the way that they carry and handle themselves between matches. Even like they're kind of chummy as you are, and you see with kids a lot these days anyway. But like when it's time to put your foot on the line, like they get after it, and
hmm
like every time I leave more impressed. And there's a few individuals that I really kind of was super impressed with, like take it to even another level than what I'm just saying in general terms. But I think that's only, I mean, just a testament to the commitment of everybody involved to grow girls wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, it is awesome, and it's awesome that Norm and the guys that and gals that help make that tournament amazing. They put a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm thankful that they include us into it. As
Mhm.
far as the girls event goes, I mean, it's gonna be hard to do everybody justice here. 105 in Class A, you had Mara Vanderpool that won the weight. Mara's basically been wrestling forever. Um, Great kid, wonderful wrestler. And in my like, she won a really tough weight. She beat a state champion in the finals, and then Frioff from Seward, and then she beat state finalist Anna Purdue before that. So I mean,
Right.
just to win the Norm Manstedt girls, and you're beating a state runner-up. I mean, Mara's a state runner-up herself. You have to be a state runner-up and then a state champion just to win the freaking weight class. I mean, that's kind of crazy. You see Mia Anderson from Bennington's back now, looked as good as ever. She had like a 40-second pin in the finals over the second-ranked girl in Class A.
Mm.
Freshman Ella Casey doing her thing, wins the weight at 115. 2 versus 3 in the finals at 120. Gabrielle Price over Olivia Mosbaugh. Evie Betcher, state finalist, wins 125. Kaylin Lyons wins 130, state champ. And then 140 has like 3 girls ranked in the top 3 of their weight classes. Upset at 145, Lauren Wemhoff from Schuyler. She
Mhm.
beat the number 1 girl. I mean, we're talking like almost every weight, and I'm not even through
Yeah.
Class A yet.
Yeah.
There's
Let
just
me
so
let
many
me let me put
standout
you on a
matches
break
you can't
real
even.
quick,
Yeah,
just so you can kind of gather your thoughts because that's a lot to go through, obviously,
sure. Yeah.
like. But you mentioned Mara Vanderpool.
Hmm.
That was one of the gals that I had the pleasure of watching in the match against Anna Purdue and against Lauren Frioff. And that's one of the wrestlers I thought just carries herself like unflappable, like just not
Hmm.
shaken, doesn't matter what's going on, like who it is across from you. Like you don't even see that kind of mentality sometimes from the boys. Like you can tell,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like she has obviously been there multiple
I'd
times.
be curious
And
to know exactly when she started wrestling. I'm once the NWA folks that I know that if they watch this, I'll know right away. So
mhm,
that'll be a test to see if they're watching.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, I feel like I need to do the kids justice from this tournament. So I am just going to kind of keep rattling off names, even though that's not my
yep,
favorite thing to do. Um, Adeline Grazier, I know we mentioned she's down at 55 now as of a couple weeks ago. She kind of, you know, solidified herself as the top person there. Kamaya Hobson from Millard South wins 170. Graceland Simmons from Northwest over Beverly Bobeldike of Norfolk at 190. If you haven't seen Graceland Simmons wrestle, like her blast double is actually awesome. Like you just
mm,
don't see that really. And so I enjoy watching her wrestle. I, for the first time, noticed her at Lexington last year. She does a great job. Avery Albers from York won 235 in Class A, and I think also got like her 100th or win, and she'd be the first girl in York history to have done so. And I've been seeing a lot of that occurring also. So like these schools are, because this is what year 5 now of sanctioned girls, and these records are going to start being set, and then there is going to be some duration behind them. So all
yeah,
those cool, I guess, monumental victories for these programs that are still, I guess, fledgling, if you call it that.
yeah, sure,
Class B, same thing. Alejandra Reyes, Haley True, Johnson County take the first couple weights. 110 was 1 versus 2 battle. Abby Negley looked great. She won 110. Brinkley Last, the freshman from Battle Creek. I think that might be like the top 5 at 115 and B. I don't know, like the top 5 or 6, but that weight class is crazy. And I mean, again, I think we talked about her last time. That she's winning all these close matches,
yeah.
and I mean, just same thing in the finals, 4-1. And I think her one
Well,
loss might have been to the girl she beat in the finals.
so last Luna and I know for sure Oleg Mueller were all at Winnebago the week prior. Like I mean, it
Hmm.
felt like it was just those they had all just seen each other a week ago. before that, you know. And I think
Yep.
actually, I think Ava Cleveland was in that as well. But yeah, it's just you wrestle it a
It's
100 times and it's different result every time too, you know.
yeah.
Feels
So
like.
I mean, that weight class is awesome, and I think it's awesome in part because those matches are so close. So last is now 26-1, and her one loss was I think opening weekend. It
Mm,
was opening weekend to Luna, and last got pinned in 30 seconds. So for her to, I think she finished ahead at Winnebago, but this time got the head-to-head match and avenged them.
yes.
So
Yeah, because
obviously big.
Oleg Mueller beat Luna in the
There you
semis
go.
at
And yeah,
Winnebago.
and
Yeah.
so and Oleg Mueller was at the weight again. Um,
Yep.
Abby Chips from Summerland had a good win at 120.
I actually talked to
Oh, keep
Coach
going.
Reeves at West Holt.
Hmm.
He was kind of telling me about like after the girls were done and they were handing out awards, you know, specifically, you know, like he was talking about how, you know, the match it was 1-0, I think, with last. And it was 1-0 at Winnebago as well. So I know that they're always going to be revising how they approach things and stuff as you always do as a coach and a wrestler, like when you have multiple matchups across the season with the same kid. But it
Oh yeah.
was interesting to me that it's a 1-0 match, you know, and a girls match is just kind of crazy still in my mind.
Hmm. No, it's
So
good. It's what I mean.
very good.
Good in a sense, also maybe a little boring too.
But
Those 1
positioning, you
0
know,
matches,
like
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
it's an indicator, and people say that about college too, you know. But like those close matches can be a indicator of high skill. So,
Hmm.
um, congratulations the rest of the way because I'm getting long winded. Felicia Kirkman, West Holt 125, Grace Druke 130, who's number one, and Kirkman is as well. And Jordan Campbell wins 135. An interesting story from Manstedt was Rylan Hansen of Stanton, who had beaten Campbell, was
Hmm.
trailing 7-0, gets reversal and near fall and pins Jordan Campbell.
Hmm.
This
Yep.
week goes up and wrestles Caden Sip, who's number one at 140 in the finals at Manstedt. I mean, obviously had to get to the finals, still a great weight, and Sip won that match 2-0. Uh,
Yeah.
where's Rylan Hansen going to end up? She was entered at Winnebago 130. So I don't know. I truthfully don't know. And that's going to be one of the bigger stories in Class B, probably, is where some of the girls end up going um, for the postseason. Um,
Yeah.
State champ Taylor Allman wins 145. Becca Gossman of Fort Calhoun avenged a loss to win 155. So she's looking good there. Emma Feinsey from Lakeview defeated returning state champion by fall, first period fall. Great win for her at 170. Piper Mole, I think, avenged a loss or at least finished behind um, the person she defeated in the finals at Manstedt. So she finished behind her at York and then won the head-to-head
Mm.
matchup there.
Laney
And then
Abel from Centennial.
yes, and then Quinlan Stats from Adams Central with the fall in the finals. The freshman, really good freshman there at 235 in Class B. So there you go. Great matches all across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations to it was, let's see, Norfolk won the team title for Class A. Yeah, Norfolk beat Millard South, and then Westside was third. Westside didn't have Macy Barber, but I don't think that would have caught Millard South. And
Mm.
then Adams Central, Lakeview, Battle Creek, Utan, and West Holt in that order were top five in Class B girls, and those are the top five teams in the state. Not quite
Yeah.
exactly that order, but that's nuts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, best girls tournament of the season, probably, and obviously Winnebago a close second, but there we
Yeah.
go.
Again, like just some of these names that pop like the confident like Grace Druke walks around like it's just only freaking business, you know, like it's amazing to watch how dialed in some of these kids are. And I'm not going to be able to mention everybody and I don't even know everybody that I'm watching yet, you know. But like when you see the way they carry it, like Norfolk's team, like I'll probably just hit this right now, just while because you know I was at the Columbus duel last night with Norfolk and just Norfolk's girls team in general. is that same way. Every single one of those girls up and down the lineup just carries himself a little bit differently. And I think part of that knows because they kind of know where they stand a little bit too. But it's business, man. It's just business, and it's fun to watch. So
Yeah, I mean, badge of honor. Unless they're a freshman on the team, they're all part of a
yeah,
returning state championship team.
yep.
So,
Okay,
do we stick with girls and look ahead to this weekend, or do we go over boys Manstedt?
we can do whatever you want.
Let's run through the boys Norm Manstedt quick. We do a lot of this on our recaps anyways. There were several great tournaments last weekend, like Central City, Aquinas, Burwell. I'm missing some, but there were a lot of awesome tournaments. We just
Millard
lumped it.
West, I think, had one.
Millard West, North Star.
Yeah.
Scott and Prep
Yeah.
dueled each other. I mean, and that was an awesome one. Just real quick, running through the boys Norm Manstedt. The uniqueness of this one's actually kind of the opposite of the girls event where you separate A and B. And at this one, you have 30 some teams from that are represented by all four classes, or they represent all four classes. So Columbus, 23-point winner over Lincoln East. North Platte was third, Battle Creek fourth, York fifth, and Pierce sixth. So you have I think North Platte should be really proud with how they wrestled. They're in there ahead of number 1 and 2 in Class C and number 3 or 4. I think York might be fifth in B now, but
well, it kind of it's
event.
kind of a testament a little bit to the deep tournament. It kind of goes back to like how many guns do you have? How many high-end points do you have? Because that's really going to be reflective in a tournament like this too for a team like North Platte, who they've got their 5. Well, actually, Roman Ochoa, I think, kind of came out of nowhere.
Totally.
But
you beat me to it, man. I mean, but that's huge because you make the finals at a tournament like that, you're scoring a ton of team points.
And he wrestled really well. I mean, I watched him a couple times, but like the difference,
the main difference state medalist to make the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. The difference between the girls' side and the boys' side here is obviously the 2-day format. Like girls is fast and furious all day. I mean, it is just freaking go, 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 go. The boys' side of things on Friday, we were done at like 3 o'clock or 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I was already back in my hotel room ready to watch college football playoff games,
Did you hear the quote that Norm gave in his interview? He's like,
I must have missed
it was really good. I'd have to rewatch it to get it exactly. It was something like, get him in, get him out, get him home.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool, because no matter what, you're still going to be there for a while.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I know there are other teams thinking for the boys, you can accommodate more teams. And being that Sunday lasted a little longer than Saturday, maybe you do the pools on Saturday and wrestle the first round of the bracket. You could do that. I know they do that at the Council Bluffs Classic, and then you're done earlier on Saturday. So,
well, it's interesting too because they intentionally did not use mats 9 and 10 for the majority, or actually the whole day of day 2.
Saturday. Yeah.
So like they could have sped that up if they wanted to, but I think like they saw how fast it went on Friday, and like as far as I understood, they made that decision sometime on Friday with how fast it went to bump it back down to 8 mats.
Got it.
So,
okay, what any big matches stand out to you on the boys' side of things?
The big one was, I think obviously you open up at 106, like the freshman out of Cozad, Wyatt Huffley. I don't know how to say that. Huffley.
Yeah.
So he got the big win over Stussy there in the semis on day 2. And then on the flip side of that, on the other semi, Caden Cottle of Syracuse takes down B number 1, Jack Langner of Seward. And then Huffley pretty much controls Cottle the whole match. I think it was 8-0 was the final, or 8-2 or whatever it was. And so like that just kind of kicked things off for me, like watching the amount of highly ranked kids just go to battle, and I mean that just set the stage for especially for day 2, because day 1, you know, you hate kind of saying it, but it's kind of a formality, you know, a little bit
Hmm.
with everybody. I mean, even some JVs are able to enter, I think, is what they were doing. So, um, yeah. Anyway, it's like once you got to Saturday, like it was just on, you know, and 106 kicked things off, you know. So it was crazy. The energy was good. I thought that I'm trying to think. Um, well, actually, I don't know right now. Oh, the 138 was tough, was crazy too. You know, we saw Cash Watson come back from broken bow. He was able to wrestle. That weight class was won by Sean Stanton out of Lincoln East.
I
Um,
like Sean Stanton. I like he's got a little bit of swag.
yeah, and that match um, with Ashton Kuhar and Hayden, or wait, who beat Hayden Schmidt? Gosh, I
Stanton beat
forget.
Schmidt, and then
Yes,
Kuhar
that's
beat
right.
Watson.
That's right. Yeah, that one was the one that was kind of crazy. You could tell that a little bit of Watson's, you know, gas tank was tested in that.
He's still
Obviously,
getting back. Didn't he get like?
yeah.
Did he get sevened, or was it just get put to his back that made the difference in that one?
He got front quartered to his back.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So
And that was for near
we
fall, or
yeah, we had that clip, we had that one up on our socials.
that's what? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting, man. Yeah. Yeah. I
but like
mean,
it's just kind of the seating like you have to take some of these results a little bit with in terms of where people finished or wrestlers finished with a little bit of grain of salt, because sometimes like you know how it seeds out of the pools, there's no rhyme or reason other than just like A1 versus, you know,
mhm.
D2 and blah blah, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's not seeded that way, you know. So like you see some kids that maybe weren't on, maybe that are
Oh,
like
they still
ranked.
seed it. It's still a
It's
seeded
seeded.
tournament.
Yeah, it's seeded, but I mean it doesn't always necessarily work out that way in terms of how they cross into, because well, I don't know. Well, it's
I
just
think it
tough.
does, dude. I think they like however they have it, so it should be where number 1 and number 4, if it goes to chalk,
Yes.
are in the same semi.
Yes, it does. I guess my point is that like when it goes across classes so much from A to D,
Oh, right. Well,
that
you
the
have
seating
guys
is
like
definitely like goofy.
totally,
It's
totally.
not gonna be like how it's ranked, you know, like how we have rankings, you
Yeah.
know. So
You could have a Class A hammer that's wrestled a brutal schedule with 8 losses that's going to beat a guy from C or D that has 2 or 3.
yes, and then
Yeah.
they
No.
on the drawback, then that kid that's like maybe I'm looking at Drayden Gossman from Pierce at 132. Like he finished behind some dudes in Class C that are unranked, and it's just the who you matched up with. From he ran into Class A on the wrestling through on the top side or whatever it was, and then
Hmm.
you know how it works. Like, and some
Oh
people
yeah.
don't. So
Yep. And I know some people don't like hearing that, but like teams like Columbus and Lincoln East, these teams are
those
from
are hammers in
these
Class A.
varsity
You know, like
these varsity teams with huge wrestling room. I mean, these guys are good. They're really good.
yeah,
And I thought North Platte like showed up and did great. And then that's no, it's not saying anything bad against like Battle Creek, York, and Pierce. I mean, they weren't that far behind or anything, but I mean, it's obviously
right,
totally different too when you have bigger schools. So,
yeah,
um, let's see if I wanted to touch on any of these other individual weights there. Tyler Hannenberg from North Platte looked awesome. Um, 150th
Braithwaite.
win.
Braithwaite
Braith,
got the win over Kirk Wilson.
yeah, and that's a good win. And then so that moved him up to number 3, and then he wrestled number 2 Galleon at the duel the other night, and Galleon won.
Yeah, yeah.
That looked like a decent match. The crowd was pretty loud for that one, huh?
Well, that yeah, we can get in. I mean,
No, you're good. You're good.
Hats off to I've been in Columbus like freaking the majority of my last
You
7
might as well
days,
just move over there.
you know, so, like, yeah.
Um, Carter Eisenman from Columbus handed Chaz Erickson his first loss. It was a solid match, 10-5.
Mm.
Mason Peterson beat Brendan Bowling 4-0. That's probably as close as anyone from Nebraska has wrestled Mason Peterson for a while. So props to Bowling. It's funny because like I was watching a clip of Bowling, one of his matches. I can't remember if it was the one against Mason Peterson or not, but there was a ton of Battle Creek people like in the background, and I think cheering him on. Like Pierce and Battle Creek are
Sure.
close.
Yeah, they're basically brothers.
But it just kind of it took me back to state last year when Brendan Bowling won the state finals to clinch the team title for Battle Creek, and it's so like kind of just got me chuckling. Like he's got like 50 Battle Creek people just kind of cheering him on wherever he goes for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
until state this year, and then they can go back to like not being cool, or when they duel each other on Thursday next week, one of the two.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I mean, I think Mason kind of got dinged there, like bonked his head or something, but obviously tough kid and won that match.
Yep.
Ryder Cruz looked great. Handed Darren, is it Duran or Darren Dozler?
Darren, I
It's
think
got to
it's
be
Darren
Darren, right?
Dozler. Yeah.
And then handed Dozler his first loss, and Dozler before that handed Emmett Dirks his first loss, right? Or am I mixing that up?
I'm pretty sure Cruz beat Dirks.
Cruz. Okay, so so Cruz handed two guys their first loss of the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I would call that an okay tournament from the kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I was pretty sure that Dozler wrestled Chavez.
Okay. Yeah. And that's one of those things like you're talking about, like you don't know how the seeds are going to shake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because you had the A and the B guy on the one side and the two C kids on the other side. And, Hunter Cruz from Battle Creek was in the mix on that because he actually was beating Dozler in his match in the quarters.
Yeah,
Or maybe that was the semi. And
no, it wasn't. It was
was it quarters?
Golly, I think so.
I think it was to start the day because they had wrestled round one the day before.
Oh, you got to be ready to go in a tournament like that.
Yeah.
Like you got to step off the scale and come out. It's not your standard like, oh, you're a really good wrestler, state qualifier. You're probably going to have an easy match right out of the gate. No.
Yeah.
Not,
you don't get to warm up with a 40-second pin.
Nope.
Whatever.
Justin Delano, who is just kind of fun to watch, wins 175 over Reese Knight from Gehring. Reese Knight had a nice win over Grady Meyer. I think that's 2/3 in Class B to make the finals. That was Meyer's first loss. Your guy Jet Vaca had a nice win, avenged the loss. But yeah, I mean another really good weight. Tregan Fitzke, he looked great. Majored. I don't know what Reese Perry's.
He escaped. He almost gave it up there on that clip we had.
Oh
there.
yeah,
almost got neck wrenched to his back.
You know what? And that's like that is such a. I don't think I'm putting anything out there that people don't know. I mean, you got to be ready against North Platte, man, because they have that in their arsenal. And
oh yeah.
If you have Cam Riggs as your coach coming. With that experience at Maxwell for a little while and St. Pat's,
that's the Kevin
Wood
special.
Damn well that is any sort of like it's a
shout out to Kevin Wood, man.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, we're rounding it out. Colton
don't
Tucker.
let him have your head.
No.
Don't give him your head.
No, and they're good at it too. Jeez Louise. Colton Tucker over Will Rathjen, North Platte, 4-0. Good match, highly ranked guys in A, and then Aiden Suma. That's how you say that, right?
I would guess. I know that was a question mark earlier.
Over Connor Heiderman from Battle Creek in the finals at 285, and here 30 minutes into this fast podcast we were going to do. Thank you, Norm. Thank you, everyone, for letting us be a part of that event. On to do anything else from last week before we look ahead.
I mean. Aquinas Central City tournaments were great. Just one little snippet, Minden got some of their guys back. Cale Smith finally wrestled. That was nice to see for Minden. They did not have Evan Lutkemeyer wrestle this weekend, but he has at least wrestled some matches. So they weren't at full strength yet, but they're getting there. For what it looks like. And so they're actually going to be kind of a weird, they were kind of like just forgotten about in this first half. I think they're going to come on strong here the second half. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to Keaton Gracie and his team over there in Minden too for that.
Class C Cale throwing out the shout outs.
Yeah.
No, dude. I mean, and you want to see Menden do well too.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get all their squad healthy, because when they do, they're going to be top 5 maybe, or close.
Yeah, I mean they're inching closer and closer. Parker Hatch has come on at 175 at a huge win at Central City. Like, I mean, geez, you start peaking at the right time and you get healthy at the right time. I mean, happens every year. Somebody you're not necessarily thinking about all season long then comes up and they kind of do their thing and maybe get sneak into that top 8, top 7, whatever it is at the end of the year.
Yep. We streamed Burwell on Friday, Class D tournament. Got some pictures out of that. I was kind of locked into the 138 final. Drew Daw, the returning state champ, against unbeaten Robinson Ledoux, and that one was back and forth. Daw got a late takedown and won that one 9-7. So a good win there. Aquinas was good too. I know we talked about that briefly. Did anything from Aquinas kind of resonate at all?
I know there's a couple matchups that were kind of gosh, who was it? Royce Hansen. You talked about Rylan Hansen. That's brother Royce, I believe, is he knocked off Carter Suka, who has been inside the top 7, 6, whatever it is, at 144, 38, something like that, to make the finals there. Donovan was without 3 or 4 kids. That made a difference in terms of the team race, obviously. Aquinas was pretty, I think they kind of ran away with a little bit, out of their home tournament, which is always good. But nothing too crazy in terms of.
I was impressed with Aquinas and how much they won by. I mean, that's like beating SCOTUS and Cedar Catholic by 40 some, almost 50 points is pretty impressive. Don't think I'd really count Aquinas out of Class D in any way just yet.
No, I would say, speaking of Cedar Catholic, I always forget that they're there. When I'm thinking in my head, the match between Hochstein and Rivero at 144 was won by Bodie 10-0. Might not be a shocker to a lot of people, but to me, after watching kind of some of the resume that Rivero has put together, that was kind of a shocking result to me that it was 10-0. Like, is what it is. Obviously, that'll be wrestled again, maybe potentially, and it'd be a different result, like that get some points on the board or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Like, I was kind of.
I think that
the gap
now
there
this
was
is
a little
just.
bit surprising.
I don't know if this is just like a weird Drew theory, like an inner thought into my mind, but like Bodie Hochstein had some kind of inconsistent results early last year and was just an absolute dog late in the season. So maybe and he's had some close matches, but those are all at 150. Both like him and Easton are down now.
Yeah.
So that sort of makes me think that that's just his best weight. That's a great win because Rivero is obviously really good. We both seen him this year, and that's a good victory and good for Cedar Catholic. I know a couple other guys dropped down, some DC West kids for that event. That would be Hunter Holding from 65 to 57, and Hudson Harlow from 38 to 32. Noteworthy because those guys are pretty. They were top 6, I think, in B. So I don't know, just kind of a random little tidbit there.
Interesting in the score here. This is the first time I looked at it. So in that Hochstein Rivero match, there was no near fall there. It was 3 takedowns and an escape.
Yeah.
So
will we be doing our friends in Central City a disservice if we didn't touch on that one briefly? Probably.
Yeah, gotta give old Garfield a shout.
Well, that was a good team race because the top 3 teams are basically all within 10 points. Northwest won it, which it seems like they win every tournament they're in. They'll have their hands full this weekend though, because Scott and York are there. Milford got second. Milford's they're wrestling well. Shuckleberry trained. No slight,
Hey,
Jonah, Coach
Joe.
Jonah. Hey, but Jonah and Joe, what a lethal duo!
Well,
Getting those
geez,
guys ready to
you
go.
got Joe, and then you got Jonah, who came from the Central City program.
Yeah,
So,
well, look at that. Would you look at
oh,
that?
geez, just look at it.
Just look at. Would you look at that? Okay, so 132 at Central City. Lane Baker. Always want to say Caleb Baker. Lane Baker beats B number 1 Logan Svoboda, and then it was number 1 at the time. He's number 2 now, and then
Yeah.
um, loses by major to Uriel Guzman from Palmer in the finals at 132. I'm saying that because Guzman's a dog. He beat Svoboda, I think, twice last season.
Mm.
Guzman and Brody Jensen are going to wrestle this week. So I interrupt this news. So you got 2-time state champ versus 2-time state champ in Class D. They're going to wrestle this week unless one of them doesn't is one of them's out of the lineup or something.
And both of those guys are like all class good.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're the best two.
So
They're the
like,
best 2 wrestlers in Class D, in my opinion. No slight to anybody else. There's lots of great wrestlers, but this
well, I
is
mean, even across all classes at the
yeah. They're
weight,
yes.
like they are all class good.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about like Riley Johnson versus Merrick Johnson this week, but or I'm sorry, next week. But man, I mean, gonna be awesome. Should be a great match.
Where's
You
that
gotta
one at?
I'm gonna have to pull it up. You
Yeah.
let's see here. Do you have a pick in that match?
Geez, I don't. I mean, I feel like if I pick one, it's going to be the other one that wins. But I mean,
Maybe.
I would have to lean Brody Jensen, right? Like, for some reason, you feel like that has to be because
I mean, he's a year-round guy.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, he's the guy that you see the name around all the time. Like, it's the Elm Creek invite, by the way.
Is it? I was just trying to find Palmer in that tournament.
Oh, no, it's
And I
not.
don't
So
see him.
Burwell,
Yeah.
maybe it's Saturday. Maybe Burwell wrestles twice. I must have missed that.
Well, I don't know. Am I wrong?
Oh, dude, if you're wrong, don't be wrong.
Hold. I know they're wrestling. I know
Well,
they're wrestling.
you must be wrong. Let it be known to the any wrestle
Well,
world that
shoot.
Dru can be wrong once.
Dude, I was told they're wrestling, man. I was told they're wrestling this week. Last time I trust anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll put that one on ice for now, and I'm sorry I was wrong. Central City. We're gonna finish Central City. Oh, you talked about Minden. Anything else there that's gonna? I'm impressed with Owen Jacobson from Aurora at 190. He's only got 10 matches, but he's undefeated. Had a good win over Cale Smith from Minden.
Mm-hmm.
And then Colt Meyer wins a good weight. 3 or 4 ranked guys in there from Ord. 5 ranked guys.
Yeah.
So,
The interesting thing with Central City is like how they're going to navigate, their upper weights, because they basically have 3 guys for 2 spots, and they're all probably. I mean, Preston Burbach has been out, like the majority of the first half. He came back, wrestled a few matches. Now he's out again, or at least in what it looks like, seemingly out. Who knows? But Damian Malchias has kind of filled in for that spot and found himself ranked. Like, he's beaten good kids. And then, like, at 190, they have Parker Santon, who's, ranked, but one of those guys is going to have to sit out, because I don't think any of them is going to go to 65. I don't think they can.
Yeah. Okay. I can't stand being wrong. So Brody Jensen and Uriel Guzman will be next week in the 23rd South Loop. Mark it down. I was a weekend off.
There you go.
And the reason why I couldn't see it on track is because the South Loop tournament's not in there. Okay. I'm done.
Okay. There you go.
Let's go on to, what week is it now? 7, 8?
This is week 7.
Week 7.
Yes.
Where are you going to be? Do you have any plans? You want to hang out at Skylar on Saturday?
I don't know. I was thinking about going to Battle Creek, but I feel like I've seen a ton of Battle Creek. I've seen a ton of Logan View. Like they're all gonna be up
Mhm.
there. Gretna East is up there. It'd be my first time seeing Cedar Catholic. I'm kind of interested in going there, but I try to stay a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
we will be streaming the Skylar invite on Friday for the girls and Saturday for the boys. I think both events are going to be pretty awesome. The girls
Mm,
tournament, 25-ish teams, I think. So solid girls tournament there. The boys event has always been a good one. Scott's not there this year. They were there last year. I think that was kind of the major change, but I like the Skylar tournament because Scott's Bluff comes there because Coach Stadola is from Skylar
from Skylar, yeah.
and he brings the Scotts Bluff team out there. So we get to see Scotts Bluff. We get to see how they stack up against the rest of Class B in a sense because the tournament itself at Skylar's is mostly Class
It's
B.
interesting. It's interesting because typically Scotts Bluff is a top team in B,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Yep.
like that draw alone, having them come over to Skylar should
Mm-hmm.
bring a lot of Eastern schools. Like, why wouldn't you want to go to Skylar if you're an Eastern B school that's needs to
Yep.
see Scotts Bluff before
I
the
know. I
state
kind of
tournament?
gave I kind of gave the Scott crew a little bit of a hard time because I know some of them and their rationale was to get more duels, right? They're not going to leave the state duels up to chance, which makes sense. So they're going to Northwest, which will be a great dual
Mm,
tournament, like Northwest, York, Scott, and whoever else is there. So I can see that. Um, and it's still going to be good. Like Bennington and Blair and Scotts Bluff are going to kind of make things pretty clear. But then you're throwing in like Shelby Rising City and Aquinas into the mix there. Crofton Bloomfield's going this year. They're new going there. So I'll get to see
mm,
Crofton Bloomfield for the first time in the regular season in like forever, maybe in
yeah,
history. Um, so yeah, and there's going to be some good matches at Skylar both days.
yeah. It's
Ord has a girls tournament this week that's going to be good.
oh really?
Really, yeah. They have
Okay.
that on. I think it's Friday. Like I don't even know how many teams. Tons.
Well, it seems like
30,
that's just a general thing for girls tournaments until I was talking to
Mm-hmm.
somebody at the Norm Manstedt invite, speaking of girls schedules and stuff, and just kind of a off topic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like once they get that stuff settled, they thought that like things will start to spread out as teams want to like start hosting their own
Mm-hmm.
tournaments so that they can also promote their own programs, right?
Yeah.
So
I hope they don't. I hope the Norm Manstedt girls tournament is just a big, huge freaking.
well, I think that one would stay. That was kind of the conversation piece is like, well, that one wouldn't go away, but like, does Winnebago diminish a little bit? Does Ord diminish a little bit? Does Sky, et cetera, et cetera?
Mhm.
Just so some of these other schools can host
Once
tournaments because
once these schools start having like 10 plus kids, then yeah. I mean, Ord's probably going to be a handful of teams with over 10, and then the majority in that like 3 to 8 range,
yeah,
which is what you still need to have numbers at an event. So, and
right, yeah.
maybe some schools just don't want to do it too. I mean, you have Skylar who does back to back, girls Friday, boys Saturday, and that's the way to do it. Um,
Yeah, otherwise it's can be
yes,
logistical
right. Yeah,
nightmares,
you want to move mats a bunch of times throughout the season?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. So,
No, only if they were the old Resolites on the old cart carriers, mat carriers, like
uh,
down through the hallways of Ord.
and then as we kind of look ahead for the rest of the girls stuff this weekend, um, the Metro Conference goes on, and that's going to have Millard South and West Side are kind of like in Bellevue are kind of like your big names in that one, and then Kearney, Grand Island, and Norfolk girls are all at the HAC
Mm,
Heartland Athletic Conference. So we should have people multiple photographers, I think, at both events. I love getting messages from the kids being like, hey, like, are you guys going to be here? Are you going to have anyone there? And yes, at those two tournaments, we will at Skylar. We'll see what else we can do too.
Yeah.
On to the boys. What do we got, man?
Man. Well, on Friday, did we cover Friday? I'm kind of lost in my mind a little bit.
Well, we talked about the girls stuff this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Kind of
Friday,
onto the boys events.
I'm actually like, before we get too carried away, like there's a ton of dual tournaments this week. There is,
Yeah.
the Bergen duels, the Syracuse duels, the Minden duels, the Gothenburg duels, the Northwest duels. I mean, everybody's just wrestling duels, it feels like. And some of those tournaments obviously are,
Metro duels.
bigger than, the others. But like,
Mm-hmm.
speaking from a Class C perspective, specifically Minden and Gothenburg, like those are going to be huge for the like dual race in the standings for NSAA points.
For Class C for the most part.
Yes, for Class C. And maybe I don't know. I actually have to stand corrected. I did not know that the Northwest invite was duals until 10 minutes ago. For whatever reason, I was thinking that was an invite, and so Shadron is actually there, who we just gave a nod to a little bit, and gives them a chance to kind of compete with some higher level competition, especially out in central Nebraska or whatever, and try to assert themselves, because they're sitting second in the NSAA points right now at 4-0. Like, it feels like uncharted territory for them. Just from
I mean,
in
they're going
recency,
to have
like,
a couple big wins because they're like Pierce is there too.
yeah.
So you have
So
Northwest, who's okay. Northwest's got York, Pierce, Shatter, and Central City are all ranked in B and C, and then Hastings is like their record's not great, but that's because they wrestled like 4 top 5 Class A teams. So like,
right.
I mean, holy smokes, that's going to be, for having only 8 teams, there's going to be a lot of good matches at Northwest.
Yes. Yeah. So kind of looking at that one, obviously, and already kind of mentioned. Well, the Gothenburg Minden duels is Friday, Saturday. So Minden Friday, Gothenburg Saturday. Minden, I think there's a few teams that overlap, and like, gosh, I go back up to Minden. Okay, so Minden, St. Paul, Thayer Central's sitting there at 15-3. So like, they have a huge record that's going to inflate people that like they don't quite have the roster to maybe stack up with maybe a St. Paul. Like, they're going to be very competitive because they have some pieces up and down the lineup, but opportunity to score big points, I guess, from Minden and St. Paul's perspective, if they do get that matchup. I know it's not a whole round robin, but then flip to the next day and go to Gothenburg, and Minden is at Gothenburg, St. Paul's at Gothenburg, so they see each other again. And then Donovan Trumbull checks into the Gothenburg invite, who, they've already wrestled St. Paul once and lost over this last weekend at St. Paul duels after missing some guys. So you kind of could possibly see how it shakes out if Donovan were to get their guys back, how that changes the duel with St. Paul, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, huge team race in the duels in Class C from those two tournaments perspective.
Yeah, I think Nebraska City's duels too, right? This weekend. I think it is.
Yes, it is.
It's got like Waverly and Plattsmouth and
Seward.
So,
yeah,
man, I mean,
and then you get into the Battle Creek invite. Typical Northeast Nebraska. Battle Creek, Cedar Catholic, very familiar with each other, but Gretna East, comes up into that tournament, which, being at Logan View a year ago, when we saw Gretna East up there, we were kind of, that was kind of a different kind of thing, to see them come all the way up there to see it. And Gretna too, Gretna High, both of them are up there.
Just gonna hop on the same bus and head up there.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think they're probably basically just it's like in the movie Pitch Perfect when the lady gets hit with the burrito and forgets to fill the gas or the bus with gas, and then she rides a.
I thought you were going to talk about when Will Ferrell, Ron Burgundy throws his burrito and hits Jack Black in the head, and then he punts Baxter off the bridge. When you said that's where my
Yeah,
mind.
might as well.
You lost me at
Just
burrito.
okay.
I'm
Things get a
okay.
little crazy.
So looking at some of the bigger, I mean, gosh dang, there's just big tournaments. Like 31 of the 32 Class A schools are at Heartland Athletic Conference and Metro this weekend. So you're gonna have a really good idea of what Class A looks like after the dust settles on those events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one's better. That's what I'm thinking. Like, which event is like more exciting to go to? I'm glad that we have coverage coming from both places. I think 215 at the Heartland Athletic Conference is something to be excited about. You have the top three in A, 165, Ryder Cruz and Caden Harder. That would be a good one if they meet up in the finals. Caden Harder just took Tyler Harrell into tiebreakers. Harrell beat Cruz. I think he majored him. And then Cruz and Harder have gone a little bit back and forth, but I think Cruz has the majority of the wins over the past couple seasons. So that's kind of a good weight to look at. Number 1 versus 2 at 106. Peterson from GI and Reyes from Kearney. Peterson's kind of had the edge in that. 120 has 2, 3, and 4 at the hack. Last year, okay. So last year, and over the years, there's been a Twitter burner, which you're not on Twitter much, are you? So this guy named he goes by Frank Williams, and it's just it's just a younger guy who has like a moniker like like avid fisherman, and I was a 2-time hack runner up, and legend, live in Palmer now, and all this just like has a whole backstory. So we messaged him last year on Twitter, and he's like the hack legend. He did he did the preview for the Heartland Athletic Conference last year. So he did like a free preview of the hack, and he wrote it. It's really funny. And so he's been quiet on Twitter this whole year, and so we kind of chirped at him this week, and he's like, "No, I'm here. I'm ready. It's the best week of the year." So it's kind of just fun. Twitter's
Oh
not
man.
like it used to be in the wrestling world. It's definitely our smallest social media side of things, but it's fun to kind of have a little banter. Moving on to Metro. Real quick. I mean, there's like a billion ranked kids there. Excited to see 113 Kyrie Thomas Callaway and Holden Townsley. That would be match 3 of the season for them. The first one, Callaway kind of dominated. The second one, Townsley was leading, and Callaway pinned him sort of late in the match. So that's one. Obviously, Creighton Prep, we hope they're healthy, because I mean they would be at 132. Creighton Lassen from Millard West against number 2 Cole Caniglia from Prep. You could call those guys a tie for number 1. We're not going to know who the better one is till they wrestle. But Caniglia was out on Tuesday. Same thing with Miles Sanchez at 138, who's number 2, where he could see number 1 Kieran Mink if he's healthy, but he was out too. And then number 1 Kieran Ackerson and number 2 Brady Danzy at 150, but Ackerson was out this week, so we may not get those just yet. Which as a fan kind of stinks, but you gotta keep your guys healthy, and I mean those guys wrestle a hell of a schedule too. So
yeah.
So good wrestling in Class A. What else we got, dude? I'm trying to be fast. I'm trying to be faster than
I've got one matchup that is really like, we didn't talk about Arlington, and they're hosting a tournament. There's no ranked teams there, but there's a handful of ranked kids wrestlers there, and specifically at 132. So Hudson Harlow from DC West last week at Aquinas beat Maverick Heine 7-3 in the final.
Yeah, he was one of the guys. He dropped down from 38.
Yeah, and so now he gets to wrestle Luke Farman potentially to kind of give us a gauge on how maybe like potential difference between Farman and Heine, because that'd be,
Yep.
1 and 2 and C. And then obviously like Cash Stanek is there too. Harlow beat him by major in the semis at Aquinas too, but that's just the one that stands out for me at 132 at
Harlow's
Arlington.
pretty good, man. Harlow's
Yeah.
pretty good. He wrestled tough up at 38. He was like number 5 at 38, which is a very deep weight in Class B.
DC West has, I know I'm not a Class B guy, but that's over in this area, and they've got some kids they're pretty darn tough.
Yeah, the Holdings and Harlow and Lopez.
Lopez, yeah.
Speaking of Farman, Jack Glendy from Lakeview, who's number 3 in Class B, had a win over Farman last week.
That's right.
The week before, number 2, Svoboda beat Glendy 5-2, and they're both at Schuyler this week at 132. 106, and Schuyler's going to get cool because there's going to be some cross-class matches. Number 1B, Anthony Shiflett. Number 1D, Jaden Schamer.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, fun one. Let's see here. Number 2, Scobie. Number 3, Schmidt in Class B, Bennington and Ralston. Your guy Rivero could see number 2, Braden Kreichmeyer from Bennington at 44. And then I like 157 because you have Alan Diaz, number 2, Lexington. Is Parker Newman up to number 2 at 157?
Yes, he is.
Nice. And then number 3, Grant Moss from Wayne. And number 5, Forrest Ewing from Blair, who's like a super stud freshman. Like that's might be the best weight. Alan, oh man, gosh, I don't even know who's going to win that one. That's going to be a good one. And then you have the Shelby Rising City kids at the bigger weights,
Yeah.
Blaze Bauman, B number 1, 215. D number 1, Coy Verbka, undefeated. Verbka's undefeated. Bauman isn't. He lost a match at the CB Classic, but dang, that's a really, really high profile match. D number 1, Elijah Chunk Fiel, Taibu Afakio finalist a couple years ago. Rylan Schoenbeck. I mentioned Owen Jacobson for Aurora. So you have 3, 4, 5, and 7 in B at 190, in addition to number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great, dude. One thing that I thought of as we were going through 106, like if it shakes out, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know how this would be seeded, but you have teammates DeWispelair and Schamer, hopefully be separated on the other side, opposite sides. But then like theoretically, if DeWispelair was on Shiflett's side, how much of an advantage does that give Schamer and the Aquinas coaching staff to be able to kind of give it a little bit of a preview? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and it's got me questioning if at Schuyler, because I know. So when we do Schuyler, we stream the main gym, but they have JV matches in another gym. So I don't know if they fill the brackets or they only allow first string to wrestle. I don't know. I'm sure it'd be a quick answer to get, but not sure if that's an option or not for Aquinas at that weight.
That's an interesting.
But I mean, that is kind of like, oh well, if you have both guys, you can sort of get a feel for them if you wrestle.
Isn't that nuts?
That's kind of
nuts. So.
Okay, well, gosh dang, man, I literally had a few other things on my mind at one point in the show that I forgot about by now. But
did you want to hit the weight cut?
Oh no, I mean, I guess we were sort of talking about cutting weight and guys getting down after break. That because it's different than it used to be when we're dating ourselves when we were in high school, like 2 years ago, or 20. You had to make the weight before Christmas break. You had to make scratch weight. And you don't have to do that anymore, right? Like this is more fresh for you as a former coach.
Yeah.
You don't have to make, like, if you're a 106 pounder, you don't have to make 106.
Yeah. So there's the term certify doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist. You just have a minimum weight you can go to. So if your minimum weight is like 108.0 or 107.9, you can wrestle 106 even without ever making 106, which is kind of
Yes.
weird, like when you say it that way.
Yeah.
But
It just
then
sa it well, you it says you have to be able to make 106. If it says that your
okay,
minimum what if your
okay, you just
minimum
never have
descent
to get
weight
down there. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Got it.
it says to say that you can make it,
Okay,
but if it was 106.5, you would not be able to wrestle 106 even though you could make 108.
got it.
You still have
Okay.
to be able to be on yeah, that's how it's
So
done.
it's just interesting, because you hear the stories, the second part of the season, obviously now the Hochsteins are down, and then you're seeing guys dropping down that may
Mhm.
never actually touch the actual weight. But then you also
Yeah.
have there are situations where, you know, is it a benefit to do that? I don't know. Like like for holding at 165 in class B, which is a way lighter weight class as far as like top end guys going to 57, that's maybe, I don't know. But then you have guys like there could be two kids on a class D team that are at the
Mhm.
same weight, and literally you made the weight in the first part of the year. So let's say, I don't know, you make 132, and that's 4 pounds to get to 126,
Mm.
or 128 would be the weight you need to make is all. If you're on
Right.
full feed, you know, are you going down? I mean, you should. It's four. I mean,
Right.
4 pounds even for me when I was at full feed, cutting and stuff. Is as a
It's
little guy, it's not that much. But so like,
it's not
what do you do for the team? What do you do for yourself? Like, who's all involved in those decisions? I think it's kind of, tricky, especially as a coach. Like, do you have insight on how you sort of handled your guys and their weight management and stuff when you were coaching?
well, it's obviously a case by case basis.
Hmm.
It's like kind of like what you said, like the full feed thing and walking around light or at the weight above where you could go. Like that's when you're probably thinking like you probably should make the cut and it's not going to make that much of a difference to you. And so like the thing I used to tell kids, specifically my time at Hershey, because I was kind of a, one man army up there, for on the coaching staff, like uh once you make the weight, like you start to stable out when you're disciplined, like your body gets kind of used to it and all that kind of stuff. Like that's kind of the general consensus that I told them. And then after that, from week to week, it's maintaining disciplined portions,
Hmm.
like it's not going to be the I mean, it can be. I mean, I feel like people binge eat and then they come back down, but that's a volume thing at that point. You're not cutting. It's mostly water at
Hmm.
that point too. Like you might have to take a deuce or something, or two or whatever, and then you're losing. But that's what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
volume. You're not putting it on in terms
Right.
of fat stores,
Right.
from a week to week basis or the night before, like so once the initial cut
Dude,
happens.
if the day before, this is terrible. If the day Okay, so I mean I did cut a lot of weight in high school. You know that.
Yeah.
And if the day before, like let's say it's Friday night and we weigh in at 7 a.m. on Saturday, if
Mhm.
I'm like a pound and a half under, I am drinking a freaking 12-ounce pop, and then I'll have some water. But like that's just what I wanted. It
Yeah.
doesn't At that point, it doesn't really matter because I mean you're cut down a ways. But if you're like, I mean, again, if you're like full on like normal weight, like I don't know. Anyways, like you sort of hear stories as you go throughout the season. It's like, you know, you know, what are you doing for the team versus, for yourself? I don't know.
Well,
So,
and some of that can be like it's not always the kid. Sometimes
oh, absolutely not.
it's protective, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but protective
Yeah.
parents that don't necessarily know the ins and outs of cutting weight because maybe they weren't associated with wrestling and this is their kid is their first like
Right.
the first experience with the
Yeah,
sport of wrestling
and
from a
four
family
pounds sounds
standpoint.
scary. Maybe it's more than that, right? Like,
Yep.
there are good ways to healthily lose, a certain amount of weight. There's a reason why there are descent plans, and that's to keep
Mhm.
it legitimate and
Yeah.
not be in the era of trash bags and saunas and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, jumping rope in a
yeah,
freaking in a sweatsuit in a
yeah.
steam shower.
Portion control, limit your foods a little bit.
Yeah.
Take a deuce. Boom.
I
4
used
pounds.
to just tell people like, don't eat like typical American portions. Eat like the Japanese do, and you'll probably be okay because they're plenty healthy.
When I eat,
Like,
yeah, but when I eat Japanese, I eat like 3 logs of sushi, and then and that doesn't count.
well, there you go.
Triple X Japanese
And you'll
portions.
be taking 3 logs after that too.
Jeez, Cale. Golly. Um, golly, there was something that I was gonna say that I forgot, and it's gonna kill me. And if I remember, I'm putting it in the stinking comments. Um, speaking of that, little weight cut conversation today. Um, what other conversations do you want us to have? Let us know, because we don't. I mean, we don't have to stick with the format of what was and what's coming. We can talk about other things. State duels. You want to talk about like where we're at there? Is that there enough content there?
Right now?
Yeah. I mean, do you want like do we have? I mean, there's a scenario in Class B going right now where Omaha Gross is 8-0 in Class B. Like no one's predicting that to start the year. They have good lightweights, and they have a couple other guys like in the bigger weights that are um decent
Yeah.
wrestlers. But like I mean, in the grand scheme of things, are they going to beat the main top 15 teams in B? Probably not, but they've won every duel on their schedule. They go to Syracuse. You mentioned Syracuse. This is what I was going to bring up earlier. Um,
Mm,
and so that's a big event for Omaha Gross, because it'd be huge for their school. Like Lincoln Pius last year, nobody had them on their radar as far as like a state duels team to start the year, and they made it. And so
yeah.
Omaha Gross is kind of in that same scenario where they're maybe kind of controlling their own destiny here. And again, they're pretty solid. Like the first 6 weights or so, they're pretty good. Um, do you see anything like that in Class C right now, or is it mostly the?
I think going into the Norm Manstedt, I think like Tri County had their dual tournament. There's a few dual tournaments that happened. Like there was some that were sitting in that top 8 that kind of
Mhm,
bumped down after this last weekend's results. But teams that are on the outside looking in, that like that are not there, that are probably on their way of staying out just because of where their lineup is in terms of
mhm,
health, and all that stuff.
mhm,
But I mean, if you guys go check out our dual rankings, like Class C shook up pretty good. And at first glance, probably thinking like, what the heck is Cale Streeter doing? Like, but down there at the
Well, yeah, I
bottom,
mean,
like,
Valentine, right? They just haven't been healthy, and they probably
yeah.
maybe won't actually be to where their lineup
Well, they have a
could have been
crucial
if they didn't have
triangular
injuries.
tomorrow with Gothenburg and Broken Bow, and
Tonight,
like,
if you're watching Thursday.
yes, okay, and like
I always forget that.
so that's um if they're not healthy, like they just don't have the numbers. It's a
Mhm.
numbers game for them. Like they have to be healthy because their roster isn't overly large either. Like so they don't have dudes that can plug and play either. Um,
David City's in that boat too, right? They're going to
yeah.
have to beat, because they have 2 Class D duels tomorrow. Like, and one of them's against
Hmm.
Aquinas, who's looking real good.
Hmm.
I mean, you want to. I mean, you got to. Everything's a
You got to
must-win right
win.
now
You
for
got to
David
win.
City,
Like,
especially
yeah,
sitting 7th in points.
David City's got to win. Like they don't have a ton of leeway. But there's some teams that are sneaky that has a lot left on their schedule that are sitting there. Like I'm looking at like Pender. Pender's sitting at 13-4, sitting there 9th right now in points,
Hmm.
and they don't have a ton left on their schedule. But depending on what in front of them happens, and all that kind of stuff, like they could find themselves into the state duels.
Yeah.
Kearney Catholic has been a nice surprise. They beat Central City a week ago by quite a large margin. Like we saw that result live on air last week. Like, and they're sitting 5th right now at 7-2. Now they have to navigate that UNK duels invite, which will be interesting. Gosh, we already said Shadron's sitting 4-0. They've got a ton of duels left on their schedule. Like a lot of things are still going to shift and change, and specifically with those records that don't have a ton of duels on them yet. They
Hmm.
have the most like up and down movement that they can move because they haven't been averaged in yet, like with a large amount of duels, right? So like one singular duel will move them up and down quickly in comparison to those that have 15, 16, 17 duels
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
So
And it's, I mean, and it's a big deal. And you know, you never, some teams just straight up just wrestle schedules kind of centered around
mhm,
making the state duels, you know? I mean, I
yeah,
think I think in Class D, like Burwell, Shelby Rising City, Plainview, Aquinas are the top four and are looking pretty good to be top four.
mm,
Central Valley, who I think is maybe our number 5 dual team. Maybe they moved down a little bit, but I think they're down a little bit. So are they going to be on the outside looking in? I know Amherst is kind of trending up, but their dual record's 5-4. You know, like where are they even? They're 21 on the list, and their dual schedule does not get easier if they still go to the UNK duels, like
right,
north
yeah,
south, and there's going to be good teams there. Southern is having a good year. They're 6-0 in Class D. So it'll be curious, kind of like I'm always curious to see how it shakes out because so much does change. In Class
mhm,
A, obviously, all the talk right now is about Creighton Prep. Well, if you go into their point totals, they're 24th in Class A. That's not accurate because their out-of-state duels against all these Minnesota teams
right,
are not. Okay, so man, this is getting into the weeds, but like the tiers of teams are 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're a tier 1 team, 75% winning percentage or higher. Tier
mhm,
2 is 50 to 74.9. And
yeah.
then tier 3 is a losing record from 25% to
Here's the
49. Yeah,
graphic.
the table.
Yep.
So I went in and did the numbers today. I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate for a couple reasons. Goddard, Kansas, they're a 5A in Kansas. Kansas is 3-2-1A, 4A, 5A, and 6A. So 3-2-1A is all one class.
Mhm.
So and then on the NSAA site, it does have Goddard listed as Class B, but their enrollment is closer to Nebraska Class A. So that would either be a 41 point win for prep or 43 if they're actually classified as Class A. And it's funny because Goddard is actually a super good wrestling school in Kansas, but they only had 4 duels and it was all in one day. And that's like the SCP IA on there is Southeast Polk, and they're like number 1 in Iowa. STMA is St. Michael Albertville, Minnesota. They're number 1 in Minnesota. Providence Catholic's a good school in the Chicago area, and then Creighton Prep. So Goddard's 4 duels this season, they lost them all, and that's all they have. And
Uh,
so that's only a 41 point win. So, but then you go through because they're tier 4. That's a bottom tier. So
yeah.
a bottom tier of a smaller class win is 41 points. A loss,
It should be doesn't even matter if it's small class or not. It's just 41 no matter what. If it's equal to or below you, it's 41 points in terms of your class.
it's a 2 point bump in Class A. Like the Shakopee win is 52.
If
Or for
the
a win, I'm sorry, for the win it's 2, and then yes, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'm just confusing
well,
myself.
you get bonus points if they're above your class. So I'm not sure that that's
No, it's
right.
trust me on this. You go into the NSAA site, and every win for against Class A is 52 by another Class A. It's not just prep.
That's okay. Well, that's different then because I'm going based off of how they run football.
Yeah,
You know,
if you go into the
like on
complete,
how they bump. Yeah, like
yeah, so trust.
okay, that's
Trust.
fine.
Because so Columbus beat Manhattan, Kansas, who's Class A in Kansas, 13-2. Their record's 13-2, and that's 52 points. So this information that I pulled on like is all static and accurate. So
Mm.
like the Don Bosco loss is because they're a smaller class, it's 39 instead of 41.
That's
That's the
really
difference.
That's interesting to me.
So and I like double and triple check. Now, is
I
Providence
mean,
Catholic actually Class B
I'm
or
not gonna
Class C? I don't know, but like there are it in general here. If you scroll down, Creighton Prep You're gonna like, dude. I trust me on this because I spent way too much time on this today.
I will believe
Yeah,
you, but I'm saying as my time as a head coach and having to worry about duels and trying to make state duels, like as far as I understood, like if you only got bonus points if you wrestled above your class, whether it was a loss or a win, it was automatic.
go in to the
And so like
NSAA
I don't
website.
that's why I'm confused
Okay,
about class
go
A
go
here.
into the
So
class schedules for Class A, and every Class A team on there that has a Tier 1 win against another Class A team, it's 52 points.
why'd they do
There's
that
no
way?
exception to that. You'd have to go into the NSAA bylaws to figure that out. I
Well,
I
yeah,
sent
I just
I sent this to multiple people before I even posted it to make sure it was as legit as
sure.
possible.
I believe you.
My questions are like Don Bosco. There's only 3 classes in Iowa, so are they D? But I mean, I don't think that matters because it's smaller than Creighton Prep anyways. And then
Yeah.
like the same thing with like Staples Motley. That doesn't matter if they're C or D or B. It should still be
I
50.
think it's only a class A thing.
Agree. It
Yeah,
is.
but you're right because
Yeah.
I mean it shows like Kearney's win over Columbus is 52 points. Like that's
Yes.
not something you see on a class C schedule. That's why it's
Correct.
confusing because I have not coached in class A.
Yes.
So,
Stay
yeah,
in your lane, bro. I'm just kidding.
I
So
guess,
if
man.
you scroll
Jeez.
all the way down, you'll see the total for Creighton Prep, which is like 44.6 something.
Yeah.
You must be zoomed in or something on it, but
Oh,
or you
I got
cut
to
it
get back
off,
to the
one of the
screen.
two. But no, okay, so there you go, 44.6428, blah blah blah. So that is actually 8th right now in Class A. If you plug
Mm,
that in, assuming no errors, which I promise you that I did as good as I could. The errors, if there are any, would be very, very negligible. So they're sitting 8th in Class A right now. They have 4 duels remaining. If you entered in the victories for Elkhorn South, Millard South, Columbus, which I think Creighton Prep would be favored in, and a loss to Liberty, who's nationally ranked, and they'd actually be up around 45, depending on if Millard South falls to like, or Columbus falls to Tier 2 or not.
mm,
So they just kind of have to take care of business in those in order to qualify for the state duels. And yes, Prep does plan on going if they win or get like win enough to get in and get enough points. So
yeah.
they didn't go last year. That was the story of the duels, is that they opted out. So
Gotcha.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just getting into the weeds a little bit, but I did have some fun doing that, and it honestly brought like, you know, brought me a lot of appreciation for how the NSAA does their duels because
Hmm.
they have the associated records of each team. They have if they're missing scores, they have they have the points and they have all that. So like once you sort of figure it out, then you got to go figure out the other teams' records from like Minnesota and Iowa and Kansas. Thankfully, our guy Patrick is affiliated with Patrick Lampkin's affiliated with Goddard, so he told me that one.
Mm,
Minnesota has a website called MN Scores where you can go look up records and stuff for dual teams. So you can look up
okay.
their season record for duels. So those are off of MN Scores. And then Iowa just good old fashioned went through everything on track wrestling to get those to get their records. So
You did your homework.
well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, maybe if a team's 14-1, they could be 15-2. I don't know. Like if you miss like a because sometimes there's the dual tournaments are in black. It's easy if they're like lined up in the blue. But no, I had fun
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it, and I think that as many people as I've had ask about where Creighton Prep stands, I felt like it was kind of a worthy thing to generate a little discussion to kind of put
Oh,
that out
yeah.
there. And
Well, because then you obviously you're wondering yourself with so many
mhm.
people asking, so
Well, yeah, and then
better
there,
just to know.
someone jumped in and was like, no, they're not 8th, they're 24th. And it's like, dude, they're not, so then it's like, this is the purpose of why I did this. Because, like, honestly, like, if you don't know, you should. They don't, the
Yeah,
records aren't in
yeah,
for all those other teams yet. And so,
right.
um, Creighton Prep is not out of the state duels yet. It's still a possibility that it happens because other teams, they can move up and down as well. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, and you're never gonna know that till the end because when they have to submit those records for
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
And I remember thinking the same. I think it was maybe Scotts Bluff a couple years ago, maybe had something similar because they duel a lot in Wyoming.
yeah,
So, those kind of things, and you have to go in and look and see in the NSAA schedules, like if there's a team that they dueled that the record shows 0-0, that's obviously not 0-0 because they dueled each other. So eventually those
yeah,
all get changed, and that can drastically impact like the landscape of state duels. And so the way we do our duel rankings is actually opposite of that. We do them kind of how we feel like they should be ranked, as opposed to how their schedules have gone so far. So that's why a team like Hastings, who's 4-6, is still like a rankings contender.
yeah.
Although they probably, I guess they have a couple dual tournaments, but may not make it to state duels.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, that's why you have to like some of these. You have to throw records out. Like I know I heard you
Mm-hmm.
say over text or something like that. Like I don't care how many losses they have because if they're good, I mean that's kind of a direct reflection of
Mm-hmm.
prep. That's a direct reflection of Hastings. Like I have Donovan Trumbull in the top 5, and
Mm-hmm.
they have 8 losses, but 6 of those duels are to Class A schools at the fracas.
At the free, yeah.
So
Yeah, somebody else commented today and said, well, they have to factor in strength of schedule. And it's like, well, that's relative. Obviously Creighton Prep is like, nobody wrestles a tougher dual tournament than them. But like, there are teams in smaller classes that wrestle tons of B and A teams. There are
mhm,
B schools like Bennington who have a handful of losses, and those are to Class A teams like Millard South, Lincoln East, Kearney, or Grand Island. Anyways, like, yes, strength of schedule like matters to us, but it doesn't matter to the
yeah,
NSAA and their computer, the way they generate the scores. And it's like that for other sports too, for football, for basketball, for volleyball. And honestly, as far as like a impartial system, like it's pretty good, I think, overall.
yeah. Yeah, I think
So,
I mean, it's what are you gonna do to make it better? I mean, I've had some theories and talks with some certain coaches that have actually have pretty good ideas, and that discussion can be saved for another time, but, like, in terms of formatting and
ooh, like
equal
wrestling for a certain
scheduling.
amount of teams from your class,
Yeah,
or
well, yeah, actually, but it'd follow the same kinda guidelines as, like, regional districts on a and it has to be on a Thursday night, like, and then you
mm,
wrestle your tournaments on the weekend. And then, I mean, there's a long process, but then eventually you wrestle all of your districts or your district duels. You have your district champion, and then you take wild cards from there. So like, or
so
however.
you do 4 district champions and then 4 wild cards.
Well, it depends on how you want to set it up. It could be set up into however. I mean, you
Th-
could if you
This
wanted to
is
make it worthwhile on a Thursday instead of just one duel with another district team. You could
mhm.
make it where it's a triangular and you're doing 2 district duels on a Thursday consecutively every Thursday until you get around to state duels.
Mhm.
That way, scheduling and calendar is always the same. You don't have Monday, Tuesday duels and all that stuff. Everybody's on the same regimen in terms of maintaining weight.
Oh
Like
man, but
it's
then you
kind of
take away
it's
like some of the cooler possibilities out there, probably.
Well, but then you
Maybe
can
not. I don't know.
streamline girls to be on Tuesdays and boys be Thursdays and vice versa or whatever it is. Like it doesn't matter.
Well,
You just have to.
the girls state NSAA is likely going to bring the girls state duels into the fold next season. I think, right? That's what
Right,
I've been hearing.
yeah. I'm saying from the perspective of weekly duels, if you were to make it so everything
Hmm.
was. I mean, look what college football's doing. They're making SEC like all the schedules are supposed to be becoming equal.
Hmm.
In their conferences. So like you can make that same kind of structure possible. It doesn't necessarily mean it's equitable, but it's
Yeah,
like, you know, it's at least gives some regulation to how many duels I mean, it's equal number of duels,
yeah.
essentially.
Whew. Okay.
So, but yeah,
Um, Dude, awesome. Like I like the dual stuff's exciting. Like get excited about duels, support duels, because that, like, especially like if you're a casual, which no casuals are listening to us, but tell your casual friends like to get people to go to duels. Like you were
here's
talking about Columbus and Norfolk last night. Go, yeah, go ahead.
I had this conversation with my wife last night and again today. Like, the atmosphere at Columbus versus Norfolk was literally like the days of old. It was like Vision Quest. The band is playing between matches, and every time Columbus got a win, they played a short snippet of their fight song. I mean, I can hear it in my head right now because, like, it was just so cool. The student sections were nuts. The spotlight was down. Norfolk and freaking Columbus's student sections are yelling back and forth at each other
Hmm.
the entire duel.
Dude.
Every takedown, it's freaking loud and roaring in there. I'm like, and then you have, and I'm just going to be blunt with this. Okay. In certain Class C schools and D schools and stuff, I know you don't have the manpower and the clientele to be able to have that kind of atmosphere just because it's a numbers game, right? But there is a significant issue that I have with certain fan bases around the air, like the kids. They think they're too cool to let loose at sporting events. But these class A schools, they don't have that issue. They like the Carney Rowdies. Columbus was awesome last night. Like the list goes on and on and on. You don't see those student sections show up in droves and get nutso at these wrestling tournaments. They don't even do it at some at basketball games too. Like, get off of
Yep.
my message to everyone around the state is somehow make it cool to be a fan as a kid at sporting events. That's what builds and drives
Yeah,
culture in the
it's a culture
sports
thing. Yeah,
atmospheres.
for sure. For sure.
So,
Dude, I was dying at Scott versus Prep, man. Like, and Norfolk
mm,
too, because so like the Prep, this happened in the Prep Norfolk duel, and there like, and there was a reason for Coach Gray to be up and uh, kind of talking about a call with the official, and then the Creighton Prep guys were like, sit, 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 like telling him to go sit down, and they just kept saying it.
yeah,
Sit,
yeah, yeah,
sit, sit, sit. And then like he kind of like looked at him and he didn't sit, and they're like, oh. And
yeah.
then like
Oh,
finally when he did, like he was like, and he like kind of like pointed at him, and they were like, because it's Coach Gray from Norfolk, and they were like,
yeah,
we love, they're like, say we love Coach, and then it was like positive, right? And the same thing happened with um, Coach DeVetter from Scott in the duel against Prep. And then keep in mind, Scott has a crowd, and they're kind of saying like they're going, the student sections are, and DeVetter's up talking about something, and they're like, sit, sit, sit. And so he like walks over to his chair, stands up above his chair, and like sort of doesn't all the way go down. Then he gets around and walks behind it and just kind of smiles at him. And then
yeah.
again, when he did sit, like it got a cheer out of the Prep fans. And so
Oh, that's
definitely
funny.
some boundaries pushed with some of the things that were said, but honestly, like I was there for it. I mean, like I was sitting there next to Antonio, who takes phenomenal pictures, and I mean, we were like laughing half the duel, maybe more, because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
banter that was going on between student sections, and that
I'm not gonna. I'm
that
not gonna
makes it
say.
fun.
I'm not gonna say who it was, but the specific one that I thought was kind of funny, or like what wrestler they were referencing, but they would be like, "Who's your barber?" And they'd be like, "Who's your barber?"
Because
Dun,
of a
dun, dun,
haircut.
dun, dun. Yeah, because of haircuts. And I'm like, that is so good. Like,
Oh
oh
man,
man. I mean, it's all in good fun, just
it is.
good sportsmanship and
Yeah, bring the heat on the duels, and you know what? Uh, be, before I guess we call this entirely, something that hasn't been on our posted schedule yet that we're adding is we're going to be streaming um, C number one Battle Creek and C number two Pierce. That duel is going to be in Norfolk the night before the NSWCA Girls Duels Invitational. So next Thursday, a week from tomorrow,
hmm.
today, Thursday, when you're seeing
Yes.
this. So a week would be the 22nd. So we'll have that duel, C number one versus number two live. We'll have the NSWCA Girls Duels, 16 teams from Class A, 16 from B, 8 mats, a lot of wrestling in
Yeah, we'll be setting that
Norfolk.
up next Thursday.
Yep. And then the Lexington Invite, that's where I'll be. Cale and Colin and some of the crew will be out in Norfolk. And so Lexington girls are Friday. The boys is Saturday, which is a big Class B one. On Saturday in Norfolk, the Mid States Conference is going on, and then a new youth tournament on Sunday called Battle at the Fork. And you know, that's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah.
4 days in Norfolk and then 2 days in Lexington. We have 6 days of wrestling, I guess, total on streaming next week. And so get signed up and watch some good wrestling and get some good analysis, because I think starting next week also, at least for the boys, we're probably going to try and start rolling out some of the district previews, and those are going to be pretty in depth and kind of what you want for figuring out if you need to maybe make some changes before the district tournament. So
Yeah.
all right, man, what do you think?
Well, it's been an hour and a half. This is our
Okay.
longest one yet. We
Is
said
it?
before the show we
Oh,
wanted to
man.
make it our shortest one. We turned it into the inverse, and now it's
Never
the
happens,
longest one.
dude. It never happens.
So,
But this is fun. We
but
love
we
it.
love wrestling. We love
Yes.
wrestling. This is why we do it. So,
Thanks for
again,
tuning in.
want to shout out Joe again one last time here at the end of the episode. If you're still hanging with us in Inshore, Nebraska, obviously a big thank you to old dear Joe. Okay, so
And I know that. Thank you, Joe. And I know that some of y'all want us to have, like, get it on the podcasts and stuff like that, and we're gonna work on that.
yeah.
But for now, we're going Facebook and we're going YouTube. So until we level up and get her on the podcast stuff, the sites.
Yeah,
or
once we go audio only, we'll make that announcement.
Yep.
If and when and all that. So,
all right, see you on the mat this weekend.